Dr. Salman Ahmed Sheikh to give his expert views and conclude the session. Please, Mr. Salman Ahmed Sheikh, be precise and give the views in precisely manners. We have very limited time. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yes. Uh, Thanks a lot for uh, providing this opportunity to share my comments in this August conference. We have had a keynote speech by Mr. Ahmed Bakli, and then 4 research papers have been presented. So just to summarize what we have discussed in this session, and also giving some suggestions to the respected paper presenters. So we started with the keynote speech. There were some very important ideas discussed by Mr. Ahmed Bakli. Digitization in this post-COVID-19 scenario is not a choice, but now it is a condition of survival. He discussed this uh, very well. And then he also pointed out that in dealing with COVID-19 situation, the regulators have to have a swift policy response, and that is very essential in a crisis-like situation. He also said that regulation is important for safety and stability in the financial system, but it does not need to stifle entrepreneurship and the technical innovation, which is also very necessary. So technical innovation holds key. And then he also pointed out that we have to have a very strong coordination between the public and private and the academia. And he said that pedagogy, public and private partnership is very important. And then we have had 4 paper presenters. First paper was in the context of Indonesia. And in that paper, it was highlighted that political will and regulatory framework is very important to the growth of new industries like Islamic finance. In Indonesia, the Muslim population is quite huge, but Islamic finance market share was not quite significant in the earlier era. But now with the change in political administration, we have now 10% market share of Islamic banking and finance in the Indonesian financial industry, and that is a very good development. One suggestion to the paper presenter is that if you add some statistics from IFSB data, the data is available on the banking as well as the Kaful sector, that would also enhance the quality of the paper once you go for publishing of that paper. So extend the scope of research to include more things. You have talked about halal industry, but you can also include other institutions and subsectors of Islamic finance, because your paper was a review paper. So it would be very nice if you can blend it with a better coverage of all the financial subsectors. The paper on Mauritania was very interesting. It was an empirical study. It tested a model. I would recommend that if you can include more control variables besides the one that you have included, that would also benefit your findings, and it will give robustness to your findings if you include more control variables, especially from the demographic characteristics. You have highlighted the role of healthcare, which is very important. Non-financial support in Islamic microfinance is very important besides the financial support, and healthcare is very important. It has been highlighted by World Bank and Asian Development Bank that if you have a healthy workforce, that would also be a more productive workforce. So Islamic social finance is very important in that context. Waqf and Takaful is also very important in meeting the health-related financing. The third paper was about Islamic banking after COVID-19. It was discussed that risk management is very important for Islamic banks, especially because even in the best of times, the liquidity management is quite difficult for Islamic banks. And now when the crisis happens, the markets are stalled, and then the liquidity management becomes more critical for Islamic banking. But then there are positives. Asset-backed financing versus unsecured loans is a positive in Islamic banking when it comes to risk management. But there are constraints in product offering when it comes to distressed financing. So we have products when the firms are looking for expansion, but when the firms are looking for distressed financing, we have limited products, and those products also have different, you can say, outlook by the scholars in the industry. The last paper was on Islamic social finance. We all know it is very important. One suggestion is that if you map the SDGs with the Islamic finance institutions and instruments, that would give a holistic picture in one slide, in one table, that how the SDGs are quite congruent and constant, are compatible with the Islamic finance instruments and institutions, and what Islamic finance instruments and institutions can help in achieving those SDGs. So if you have a one-on-one map with the SDGs with Islamic finance institutions and instruments in a table, that would be a very good way to present. You have rightly said that there's compatibility between SDGs, ESGs, green finance, socially responsible investment, and the philosophy and the institutions of Islamic finance. So due to the shortage of time, I would end here. Back to Dr. Salim Saab.